shtick on this Tennessee-Oklahoma game a bit more and take a look at how the market has been bet early in the week. As expected, this kind of feels like a pros versus Joes matchup. The public all over Rocky Top with 79% of the bets and 90% of the handle pouring in on this elite Bulls offense, -7. The total, on the other hand, has been particularly split in the early going as we welcome in Mike Calabrese. I mentioned BBOC Saturday at 10:30 with Colin and Brett. Another one joining me now in here on Green Dot Daily. Mike, listen, all right, we're going to talk about this. We're going to say his name once, and then we're just going to refer to him as Nico. Nico Iamaleava. Oh, no, I messed that up. Nico Iamaleava. There we go. That's how we say his name. It feels like the hardest tongue twister since DJU, and I've given up on that one in particular.
Iamaleava is someone that deserves the full respects of his surname because he's clearly put himself into the running for the Heisman Trophy. But the question here is, having played a very light schedule, an underwhelming NC State team in the non-conference, is his offensive line going to be able to hold up? Because Oklahoma is the first team to face the Vols this season with a real pass rush. PFF grades them as a top 20 pass rush. They've got to the quarterback 11 times on the season already, which is 6th nationally. If he is under duress, he's not someone who is impervious to making some boneheaded decisions. He's got plenty of turnover-worthy throws already this season. So I think that's the game within the game that matters the most. And it also swings on the other side. The Vols pass rush really makes up for their secondary, which leaves a little bit to be desired. But if Pierce and that front are getting to Jackson Arnold time and time again, I think it'll be the Vols on top in this one.
The 100 times that I've watched him try and pronounce his name and then replicate that, Iamaleava, it's a tongue twister for sure. All those vowels really get me going. But listen, Mike, every single week you come on here, we break down a game when it comes to the NCAA football simulation. Of course, we had to talk this one between Tennessee and the Sooners. We got Heupel's revenge game. We got Nico going for a Heisman. How did the simulation see this one playing out?
This one, Oklahoma got all the good luck in Norman's, and they had 5 takeaways in this game just to Tennessee's 1. They scored 31 points off of those 5 takeaways, and they ended up winning this one 41-26, cashing a money line ticket at plus 230. Easily goes over the closing total of 57.5. There's a critical injury early in this game. Dylan Sampson headed to the medical tent. He'd come back for one more series, but he had an injury to his hand, so they'd lose him for the final 3 quarters of this game. And once Tennessee was one-dimensional, they really heated Nico up, and he struggled in this game. He finishes with 4 turnovers, 3 interceptions, and 1 lost fumble, 2 defensive scores for the Sooners, and that's really where the roof caved in on Tennessee in this game. They had it as close as 17-10 in the second quarter, but then OU scored 24 straight. Nico tried his best with a fourth quarter comeback, but it fell short after scoring 16 straight points. I mentioned Nico's turnovers. He also accounted for 417 total yards and 3 scores, but Danny Stutzman was the player of the game. The Oklahoma linebacker finishes with 12 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, a forced fumble, an interception, 2 pass breakups. He was a stat sheet stuffer for the Sooners.
The simulation liking the underdog at home in this one. Mike, you kind of mentioned that you like Tennessee early on when you talked about Nico and the Heisman run that he has going on here. It feels like this might be, that final push to get him up to the top 2 or 3 in type of odds, or also could, vice versa, if they lose, drop him down the list a little bit. Can you just explain a little bit more from your thoughts on how you expect this game playing out rather than, the simulation and all that?
I really do think it comes down to the protection for Nico. If he has time to operate, I think the Oklahoma secondary, it's going to be difficult to check this receiving core from Tennessee for 4 quarters and not have some big plays get busted in their secondary. And if that is the case and Tennessee holds on for a victory, I think Nico immediately vaults to either first or second in the market to win this Heisman. You look at Quinn Ewers and what he was able to accomplish in that dominant win in Ann Arbor against Michigan, but unfortunately he's hurt. He could be surpassed by his own teammate Arch Manning in short order. So I think the Heisman in terms of the futures market right now is wide open, and if you can get an advantageous number on Nico, this could be the last week to do so.
It's trying to bet this Heisman market. I don't know if you do it a lot, but I have a dart and I have a Milroe ticket. Then I'm like, well, do I add Nico? I already missed the Cam Ward train. There's so many good quarterbacks, and obviously there's so many big games to come. And I'm pretty sure Tennessee ends up meeting with Alabama. That will be such a huge game for them in general as well. So can you get the Nico hype train? If you think Tennessee's going to win, buy a ticket on Nico now. Is definitely great words from Mike as we can't let you go, Mike, without getting another best bet from the weekend here. And you'll be on Saturday, 10:30 Eastern. on BBOC, giving out a couple of your best bets, talking this Tennessee-Oklahoma game a bit further. But the game you have circled in particular is Charlotte against Indiana. The Hoosiers look fantastic, and they have a better odd than to make the college football playoffs than Clemson thus far, which feels like really weird to say in the year of 2024. But you like them to continue to roll here against Charlotte.
Yeah, the Hoosiers are just bringing the pain every single week. They drop 77 points on Western Illinois, those poor Leathernecks, and then they go up against UCLA. Welcome to the Big Ten there, Bruins. They beat them down 42-13. They're laying 28.5, 29 in the market right now against Charlotte. The Charlotte team is in free fall. They're without their quarterback, Max Brown, and without him as their QB1, this is a bottom 10 offense in the entire country. And then on the other side, you got Kurt Tignetti, comes over from James Madison. He's a run-it-up kind of coach. Since moving up to the FBS level, he's 17-10 against the spread. So cashing tickets north of 60% is something that you generally want to go ahead and tail. And the 49ers, when you look at last week, I mentioned their dysfunction on offense. They needed 21 points in the fourth quarter to beat a lifeless Gardner-Webb team by 1. They can't run. They can't protect the quarterback. They're bottom 10 in both of those metrics. And the entire season has really, swung on them creating explosive plays. They averaged 3 plays of 30+ from scrimmage per game. Can they be explosive against Indiana? I don't think so, because IU is one of the best teams in the entire country at limiting explosives. So I think this is going to be another showcase game for the Maple Missile. Rourke at quarterback for the Hoosiers. He's been absolutely locked in the past 2 weeks with 6 touchdowns and 0 picks. I think it's another runaway for Indiana, who is very close to cracking into the top 25. As you mentioned, the year of our Lord 2024, there's some weird things going on. Indiana's a team that's coming from the outside of the pack that all of a sudden may be a dark horse for the college football playoff.
Yeah, who would have thought the Hoosiers were going to get their way into this top 25? But, a couple of wins here, maybe a win against Nebraska later down the line, and all of a sudden we're looking at a team kind of in that contention for the college football playoff. But only time will tell. But for now, they have to take care of Charlotte in a big fashion. So, Mike Calabrese, best of luck with this game, and appreciate you hopping on.